Mike Dolson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald,
Here.
Jennifer Finley,
Here.
Jim Molitor, Carol Langford, Danielle Matt,
Here.
Bing Matt, James Steele Jr., Martin Charlo,
Present.
Len Tuteeth,
I'm here.
Lenny Strahan.
I'm here. This is James.
Thanks, James. Tom, will you give us a prayer this morning?
We want to thank you for this beautiful day. I want to thank you for all the gifts you've given us, our resources, our families, our friends, our ability to love each other, care for each other. I want to pray for good decisions that we have today before us. We want to pray for all those that have no shelter or food. They find it quickly. We want to pray for those that have lost loved ones. We want to pray for those that are ill. We do all this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Tom. With Abby gone on PTO, the minutes for Tuesday are not ready, so we will look at today's agenda. Has anybody got things to add to the agenda?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I have an issue. Thank you.
Motion by Martin to approve the agenda with additions. Second by Tom. All in favor?
Yes.
We are unanimous. James, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Did you all get the email I sent from Gigi Ozzie on the water situation in Mission? And has that been an issue that you've all talked about?
We haven't talked about it, and I saw the email was there, but I didn't have a chance to read it this morning.
Yeah, if you get a chance, if you could maybe take a minute and look at that and let me know if we can at least get a hold of housing, get an update on the water situation there in Mission. It looks like one of the pipes has had issues and they've been working on it, but they got a boil order, and her concern is being able to provide water to some of the elders and such in the area. So that was kind of her general idea. I told her I'd bring it up today. So if council and yourself could take a minute or two and read that, and mostly just see if we can get an update from housing on that issue. Thank you.
Will do, James. Any other remark?
Got that filter with me yesterday. Yeah. Attending that conference.
She came in and was introduced the one day, and I forget what her name is. I can find that. Danielle?
And I believe, done a really good job at trying to keep people updated on what's going on with those breaks, even through social media. So I believe they've got the line fixed at this time. And they will provide water if there's no water, but because there is water, it's unfortunate. It's a boil issue, but EPA had to get involved. So that boil issue is in place for a short time, but water is back on, and it sounds like they've got pressure again out there.
Thank you, Danielle. Well, we're quite ahead of schedule then.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, James.
We're ahead of schedule, you said?
We are.
Could I bring up kind of a mini report from last week?
That would be great.
All right, thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Yeah, I attended part of the conference last week. I got up in Canada. I attended the first day, and then the second day I had a family member health issue that kind of involved being on the phone. So I didn't get to make the trip, unfortunately. And but it was a good conference, the part that I was able to attend. And they had a good presentation from all the different tribes, particularly in the affected area of some of the mining activity. We had a good report from the Tlingit and Haida, some of the mining that they're faced with, also from Canada in Southeast Alaska, Ketchikan area primarily. They talked about mining there along the border in Washington, and that was something I wasn't aware of. It was good to learn, but it was a good trip. And then the later that week, I took PTO.
Thank you, James. Go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I caught the latter part of the conference. Piece of information that I thought was interesting was that Canada was able to impose a fine on the mining firm for 58 million. 58 million. So they showed how they divvied up the money, and unfortunately, Bonners Ferry and us were not included. So I did question why those of us downstream were not included in the settlement, and and I laid out the reasons why I think we should have been involved. Unfortunately, we weren't there at the table when they were talking about how they were going to um, divvy up the money. They did indicate that since it was the fine was imposed in Canada, that they would have to just give the money to those that were affected in Canada. But I kind of called BS on that and thought, you know what, pollution is pollution, and it's our watershed that's being impacted. And so they understood, and they did let us know, because there's going to be some more fines that are going to be coming down the pipe in here in the future. And so that I made sure that they included us and Bonners Ferry in those next round of discussions to make sure that we can get a process in place to make sure that we're included in that, so we're able to just be part of the process of that process.
Thank you, Len. We've actually been asking to be able to sit at the table a lot. They have not opened that door to us. So I'm glad you reiterated that. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, just on that topic, and thank you for that update, Len and James. That's been the extreme difficulty in dealing with tech mining in the Elk River, is this between nation issue and being able to litigate correctly. So, and why we've been excluded from all that. And it's a difficult, we brought it up from day one, back and starting in whatever, 2012, so it's been hard for anybody to wrap their heads about. We could sue them in world court, that kind of thing. But so the best remedy that we have is the process through and engaging the International Treaty Governance Board, is to have actions that include us, that are now inclusive to us down below the 48th parallel, so that any remedy and fix. And then the big thing was to get Canada to agree that the affected area of the Elk River mining pollution goes all the way down the Columbia, all the way through as the Kootenai River comes into Montana, and as we go and exit back up into Canada, that whole U is part of the watershed that has to be studied and mitigated for. So hopefully the plan that comes out of the IJC becomes something that's enforceable by the Canadian courts, and it's inclusive, which it will be, because we're at the table, which we were never at the table before. So I'm really hopeful that the next round of mitigation will be inclusive of Bonners Ferry and us. And that kind of restoration work is incredibly difficult, but doable, and it's expansive, and the duration is very, very, very long term because of the impacts over the last 120 years. So I'm really optimistic that in the future, whenever that happens, it's been a long process, that we will be included in that. And that was one of the difficult things when I first started meeting with some of those folks up there in the north, with some of them are really advocating for mitigation. And I said, well, your mitigation you're engaged in through these settlements is not effective mitigation. It's not enough. It's not getting the job done. So it's got to be like a Herculean effort. And that's what I hope we can get out of Glencore now. Those mining fines, or as far as the bottom line of now Glencore and Teck before is pennies on the dollar to what they're making and what they're taking from the landscape. It's incredible the values that they're extracting out of that land, and the little bit of fines that have been collected are insignificant.
On the dollar. Less.
Oh yeah, they'd be happy to just pay that kind of fine in perpetuity, but that's not going to be what fixes it. And we're going to continue to accumulate damage, and eventually that Elk River will tip over, and that fishery that's really a nice fishery right now will disappear. They won't be able to sustain it from the drainages that are still there that don't have mining pollution in them. And then, of course, it'll dribble down and make it worse, like Kukanusa and the Kootenai River below the dam. So anyway, I'm optimistic they'll be inclusive. That's the big thing about the IJC, is to be able to make sure that the mitigation is correct, and we're included.
James or Len, was there any discussion about, is it the nitrates that's the other pollution that's so terrible?
Well, when
Is it
they
almost
when
more devastating?
when they blast the rock and separate out the coal they want to make coke out of for refining steel, they blow all that up, and so all that dynamite, that nitrate residue, is also on all that slag, all that rock that's left there, and it washes right down into the stream. And so yeah, the nitrate pollution it's like dumping fertilizer in that river.
Well, it kills, what is it, what are the little bugs or animals that it just takes out?
Invertebrates.
Yes, and that's the food for a lot of the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And so it totally takes in and destroys the balance that's in the river system immediately. And they talk about actually fertilizing the streams to try to rebalance them. And the fertilization process, I guess, only maybe a few kilometers below wherever they put it in, that it's actually effective.
It's the one effective treatment plant that they've installed when they were supposed to make a series of them, and they got one that's functioning. That one basically sterilizes what's like pouring distilled water in the creek. So you can't live off of distilled water. So they have to remineralize the water that they dump back into the creek and add stuff to it, like the nutrients that you're mentioning, Mike. So otherwise, there is no life that can be supported from the stream. It's pure distilled water, and it's amazing.
I'm thinking that needs to be a major topic at least the next conference, if we're going to host it, that we talk about that. Go ahead, Len.
Also, I did share an email with you all earlier in the week about the Ninth Circuit Court making that decision that the tribes are now allowed to seek monetary damages to those companies that mined on our Aboriginal grounds. And I think about the Columbia Falls site and Frenchtown and Elk Valley. And I think that's something that we should seriously consider looking at going after damages, because that's the only way we're going to really get their attention.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing about our standing to sue Tech Mining was are they present in the United States? And how can you sue them in a U.S. court? The great thing about Glencore now that they bought out all of Tech Mining interests in the Elk River Valley is that they are present here. And so they are touchable by us. And they're touchable because they own the Columbia Falls aluminum plant facility. And they have other assets in the United States and resources because they're so massive, such a big company. So I believe Glencore, we're in better position to go after them legally in court than we were with Tech, for sure. I think so. So, and we are playing to two different sites with them, Columbia Falls and now Elk River. So it's pretty good, at least for us in standing and being able to reach them. That's the way I look at it. But then again, I'll leave it to these legal minds that are around to try to figure out how to exactly do it. But we didn't have that opportunity with Tech Mining. And the pollution up there above Colville there was air pollution also. There was some other issues that they were litigating over. But that was really good. That's a good court, good settlement you shared with us, Len. Thank you.
I do believe we could get standing in Canada to sue, but I think it's a tough thing to do. So
That's that question.
yeah,
Really. Lindsay and John.
anything else for this morning,
Mr. Chair,
James?
do we still got a little bit of time?
We do.
Yeah, I was going to answer your question. The first part of the day that I was there, they had presentations from the different communities that I kind of talked about, but they talked about the Ketchikan situation was pretty interesting because I hadn't even was aware of that at all. But a lot of what they talked about was what your question went to, and that's that effect upon the river in their area, and how do they make sure that it's mediated in a way that the salmon fisheries and other fisheries are maintained and able to survive. And they talked about the things that Tom's bringing up as well. So, I really didn't know that. I was kind of aware of the mining areas that we're concerned with in Canada, but I hadn't known anything about what was going on up in northern British Columbia and southeast Alaska. And and then they got into, I seen on the agenda, they got more into the legal issues when Len was able to be there. The other thing that I was able to do was I was able to quickly stop and check out a brand new gas station that um, they have at Grassmere, which was pretty cool. And then I stopped at the new one in Bonner's Ferry, the Sturgeon Station, and stopped and had some of their was it Sonic that they have there. So it's pretty cool to see a couple of our sister tribes that have a couple new gas stations and service stations in their areas.
Was there anything about that tailings dams too? I remember that being a huge issue, and I don't know if there's been anything much done to secure those dams to make sure they're more safe.
They had a big discussion when I was there about the one along the border there by Colville, kind of in that area. And that is a huge issue because they've got a tailings dam that they're wanting to make bigger, and where they're at in terms of them where they're mining, they want to go deeper. And so they're in a battle over there to try to stop it from going deeper and making the tailings pond deeper as well. So they're having to consider putting in a bigger dam, and that was pretty alarming to see what they're trying to battle there. And they talked about how the river is no longer a river. It's just basically a stream. And going down, you know, they talked about, you know, when some of the older folks that were there talked about being able to fish salmon and you couldn't walk across it. And now you can walk across it. And so it's just a direct impact from that particular mining. But yeah, in that particular mine along the border, they're trying to make that tailings pond, well, basically a lake now, bigger and make it a bigger capacity for the mining, the new mining that they're going to be doing on that site.
Thank you, James. Martin, go ahead.
I just wanted to relay back that the family of Susali Pete, and then Stephen Small Salmon thanked council for the donation that was made. And Kusum's also kind of willing to step in and help with part of the cost as well. So can't donate money, but they can help with other things like that because she was, you know, one of their employees. So thanks for councils for doing that and everyone that attended.
Thank you, Martin. Anything else from council? If not, I see Zach's here and we can welcome Zach. Come on up.
Mine should be nice, you know, it should be nice and easy. I have 6 resolutions. We have you know, Jeannie, after 30, I think 32 years with Mission Valley Power, and I think another 8 with the tribes, is retiring. And thank you, Jennifer. And we've hired a person, Lisa Swords, to come over and to fill into that position and hit the ground running. You know, it's a really tricky time right now. It's at the end of a year, start of a new year, end of a month, start of a new month. So we have a lot going on, and you know, Lisa's going to have her hands full learning everything we got going on there at Mission Valley Power. So like I said, we have 6 resolutions that we need to get change Miss West's name from and move it to Miss Sword's name.
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion by James to approve all 6 resolutions, James?
That's correct.
To approve all 6 resolutions making that change that Zach just related. Perfect. Do I have a second? Second by Tom. All in favor? Carol? We're unanimous.
All right. Well, thank you. You guys have a great day and have a great weekend too.
You too, Zach. Thank you.
Zach, when's our last day?
Thursday, the 25th, next Thursday. But I'm sure glad you reminded me of that. You know, we're having a ribbon cutting. We've completed the Kerr substation remodel, and we'll have a ribbon cutting next Thursday. We're going from 12:30 to 2. So we'd sure like for the council to be there. It's on a Thursday. I know it's on your guys' work day, but if you guys could schedule us in for a couple hours and say a few words at the ribbon cutting, that would sure be appreciated. We're going to have it down in Kerr, you know, the Kerr substation. You go to Kerr Dam, and if you drive down to the river, there's our substation, there's BPA substation, and then there's EKI's located right next to them. So we're still trying to figure out the parking and the, you know, as you go down there, that's a small spot. But I think it's a really important moment. You know, that 16,000 of our customers indirectly and directly connect to that substation. So if that was to go down, you'd have a lot of people calling in and talking to you about it. So, you know, replacing, it will have the ability to add on additional load. Um, you know, it's a kind of a bittersweet thing. You see, you know, I see, great, it's something that we're replacing, but it's a 50-year transformer. So it's like, man, I might not see the day they rechange that out. So it's one of those moments, and it's a good one. We're just strengthening infrastructure, you know, so outages won't happen, you know, as much as, you know, they do. And we're just spending a lot of time trying to do those things. So.
Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for coming in, Zach. When are we gonna change the name of the substation away from Kerr? Could we do that as part of this celebration?
Is that enough time for you guys to come up with a name?
Just remove the name, huh?
I mean, it's your guys' substation.
Yeah.
Make it, even if you called it, what would it be, Polson South?
Oh, yeah, like we have Polson West, yep.
You know, I
West
don't,
Shore.
I just, taking that name off there, I think would be
Station
be
one.
nice.
We have a couple days, if you can, and think about it, and let's try to plan for something. Yes. No, that was the original plan, and it just kind of, that getting completed is the days just changed, and everything kind of came together, and now it's done. So.
Have your board consider it.
Hmm?
Have your board consider it.
Yep. Cool. Okay.
Go ahead,
Sure.
Len.
Have we had any response regarding irrigation's outstanding bill?
Not yet.
Okay,
No, we gave them, on the final letter we just sent, we gave them till October 1st.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
it's funny, I talked to Dan Lozar today, just checking on who's going to be available from their side to be there at this thing. And he said, because it's the end of the year, they black out for the last 2 weeks. Travel was kind of hard to get together. So it's just going to be Dan. But I also asked, where are we at? And he was like, well, they're still working on it. So.
Okay. And where are we at with the mobile substation?
The countdown is about to hit. It'll be ready next October. We're a year away.
Okay, that's
Oh,
exciting.
yeah. No, the countdown's gonna start here pretty quick. In October will be a year away from it being completed.
Okay. All right, thank you, Zach.
Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Zach, did you get your fire risk mitigation plan out of legal yet, or where's that at?
What legal is doing, they're trying to make sure nobody's held liable, especially the tribes. They're looking at it. They're doing their thing. We've provided it to them. They have it. They're looking through it. They just want to make sure everything's right. And I think, I don't know, hopefully they're not getting comfortable thinking that we're out of the season. But there's still smoke in the air. So I know there's fires around us. I'll reach out to our attorneys and ask where we're at with that. They've been doing a lot of things with us lately, and but I'll ask again. Actually, I'll walk up right now and ask as soon as I'm done here.
and the hot springs update.
Hot Springs, we're the update from this morning's email, or they've already started. If you've been down by there, they've already dug it all up and they've already laid everything that's there. That subsidy, that transformer is scheduled to be here in December. So that one's going to be complete by January. So we're just, knocking those things off the checklist that was on the BIA's, those 5 top issues that we had out there. And we'll once we knock that one out, and then Finley Point, moving Finley Point substation to West Shore and building West Shore up and rerunning the lines back out to Finley Point, it's going to save all of us all of us customers millions of dollars by doing that versus rebuilding on that area where it's at and moving it back with all that water that's down below it, not the lake, but all that water that's below it, was going to be, you know, in this $7 million range. We're saving millions by, you know, moving back to South Shore or West Shore and building that up, the load capacity and the line out to that area. So Hot Springs is scheduled to be completed here in January. So everything is coming together and things are going to be really good going into the future for us.
You've talked a few times about possibly connecting with BPA in Hot Springs too. Is that scheduled?
You know, what we're doing there is when we rebuilt Hot Springs, we built it so it's ready for that interconnection. We've had a couple conversations with Bonneville, and they've given us a kind of their initial report on what it would cost to do that. It was kind of blew up. It was inflated, but they're gonna report back to us within 6 months of the actual cost to do that. So, you know, like we've talked about, that interconnection is a real game changer. It's going to make all of our lives that much better because right now that connection goes from Hot Springs all the way to Kerr through every, you know, 40 miles of, you know, there's timber and there's all the things that go on there. That's one connection. The interconnection, if we get the second point of power, would be Bonneville's substation that's out at Hot Springs, and that's a 4-mile distance. So we're trying to work to stay within their footprint. They're trying to have us build outside their footprint, and that's kind of the negotiation. But it's going to be a lot more efficient if it's inside their fences. But we'd be required to build the line, to update the line from that 4-mile stretch. So, you know, that's years out. That's a couple, 2-3 years out. But we're still negotiating and trying to get something in place that will really strengthen the infrastructure of Mission Valley Power.
Hey, Tom.
One last question, Zach. The fiber lines that are going to be hanging off your poles or everything, how's that going?
It seems early to us, but every conversation I have with them, I want them to make sure they understand that Mission Valley Power cannot be responsible for replacing the poles because that fiber line even the load in the section, the spacing will require a lot of poles to be changed. And they're looking at if there's so many poles changed, then they're going to try to go underground, which we all understand is the way we would like to see it done, but it's a lot more expensive. We're being very careful as we proceed with that fiber ring because we want it's a benefit to the tribe. It's a great benefit, but Mission Valley Power, we don't have the manpower to go out there and make all those changes as they happen. They have to hire a crew to do that, or give the tribes the money, or somehow fund a crew to take care of those replacements. But it's still moving forward. I got to meet, they had a meeting at Mission Valley Power not too long ago and, got to meet a lot of the people, and we're just trying to make sure everything is right and we're following our rules. So we don't run into situations like we've had in the past. So we're going to do it right and we're going to make sure it works.
Thank you, Zach.
All right.
You have a great day.
Hey, you guys have a great day and a great weekend. Thank you.
Morning, Ruth. Come on up.
I'm gonna do this one first. Oh, wait, let's hold off on that one. Mr. Durgalo is in a mandatory meeting right at the moment. He will join hopefully as soon as he can get away from there. So on page 15 of your packet, already making an amendment to 2026 for corrections, very important ones that were erroneous omissions. There's no other way to characterize it other than that. So when we originally presented the tables, we unfortunately had omitted 3 different program requests, and one did include a capital request. So we're bringing those forward. Mr. Chairman astutely noticed that there was a variance of 20,000, and to explain that change from 69.9 million to the 70.2. We're also providing in that increase to capital equipment a 3% contingency. We were right to the penny. That is kind of ill-advised. We always have cost differences from the estimate by the time they're procuring, especially on vehicles. So we would like to just make that a $50,000 increase to capital instead of just the requested 30. So that's the reason for that. Those programs that were omitted, or the changes, included Fish and Game, which had requested an increase of 113,000. The Tribal Research and Review Board had been contained within legal department, and they were wanting that, and this is proper, to be split from their budget as a separate budget. You enacted an ordinance to that effect, so it is a mandatory program. The requested $5,000 donation to Boys and Girls Club was not included in the table. And then this capital equipment increase that I just spoke about. So that total increase to the enacted is 374,000, now ending at 217,813,901.
Motion by Carol to approve the resolution to make that modification. Second by Martin. All in favor? We're unanimous.
You?
Ruth,
Go ahead.
Ruth, do we know, did we increase land acquisition budget?
For 26, they are getting their annual $100,000 increase, so they're starting at 2.3 million.
2.3?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm. I do not know that. Some of the requests that I was aware of for this year, there might have been discussion in the land committee and or with council about whether any of the acquisitions would move on contracts for deed instead of just lump sum purchase. So I did not hear of anything though like that in answer to, is it already obligated? And then hopefully our last modification in 2025 now, modification 11. This is to increase the budget for tribal health in that very first column, 915,000. They were awarded prior year MNI, and they expended that for generators. So we're needing to increase their MNI budget. They also have an increase in their overall department budget. They have primarily just budgeted salaries in there. And they are beyond that already in the fiscal year, so we needed to increase that by about 756,000, I believe, so that they are not in deficit at year end. Also to bring forward the last modifications to contracts and grants for a total of 17.1 million. So total increase is just over 18 million. Total appropriations now at 416,545,792. And we had a correction on this one as well.
Motion by
$10,000
Carol
variance.
to approve you said modification 11. Do I have a second? Second by Martin. All in favor? I believe we're unanimous.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if you want to do this one in open session or executive session. Just for the record, so a request was made to provide a contribution of funds toward a nonprofit outside of tribal program entity. And when I reviewed that, I simply said no recommendation for approval. We do receive quite a bit of these. Some of these you're not even aware of. But in general, I don't recommend that we fund anything outside the tribe. Donations, if you want to make unrestricted donations through your policy and through available funds, you can always do that. This was asking for like an ongoing, continual, full-time funding of sounds like a position. So, and also looking at what your priorities are, the agencies you already have in place under the tribe that are addressing those. Just kind of logically assume that those would be addressed in that manner. So I had a brief discussion with Joe this morning and said, I believe, your department, if you had wanted to support and contribute to that, we would be doing that. He said that one of his programs is doing that, the Tribal Opioid Response Program. And he basically said he agreed with my recommendation. I said, well, just wanted you to know that I was not trying to undercut you or get ahead of what you might be thinking. So that's the gist of that. If you want any further discussion on that, I think it would be best with Mr. Derglo.
It could be a sensitive discussion. Should we go into executive? We will go out of regular into executive.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we establish a sub-agreement with NARS to fund out of the opioid interest settlement funds and appropriate reporting and such that are needed.
Quinch.
Got a motion by James to establish a sub-agreement with NARS. We need some specifics tied to this. Go ahead, Ruth.
Yeah, how much?
How much
Is
and
there
how
a
long?
maximum or a suggested so that we can frame that?
I would suggest what the requested amount was from NARS that you presented. I
Okay,
think it was like 68 or something.
For 1 year?
That's 1 year.
For 1 year. Second by Len. All in favor? 3, 4, Martin, 5. Got 5, 4. James, 6, 4. And those against? Carol and myself. Motion carries.
all right. I'll hand it to Michelle Mitchell to shepherd.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, I would also like to state that I would like us to have the staff put together a plan so we're able to fund this position for the next 5+ years.
Go ahead, Carol.
For the record, I think we have too many loose ends. We need to shore it up and make sure this is the right avenue to be moving forward.
Be interesting to see the agreement. So, who we got? Daniel?
The money's there. I think it's a trial period. We've got the 1 year and see if it's successful. So I'm excited to see how this works out.
Who we got next? Ken?
But is Joe, might be you, Sam, then? We'll go with Mary Rose Morjo, and I have John Wheeler on too, on Zoom as well.
Welcome, Mary Rose.
My apologies. Good morning, Chairman and Council. We had for our 3854 T-HIP program, we had about 9 TBCs that were put into the 4,000 contracts grants revenue account and should have went to their deferred revenue. Typically, that's how we would usually take it in, was 1301 and putting it to the 4,000. But it sounds like this one's a little bit different, and I think Greg could.
I'm here to support this journal entry. It really is an issue of making sure that we're accounting for funds that the tribes receive in as advanced funding. And what the journal entry does is moves it into the correct program that would have been created at the beginning of the fiscal year. And just not being familiar with that was why it wasn't in the right program. These journal entries put it in the right program so that it can be correct for our year-end wrap-up. And this is
Right, Carol? Motion by Carol to make these journal entries. Second by Danielle. All in favor? I don't see James. You okay, James?
I'm gonna vote no, Mr. Chair.
So we got 2, 4. 7, 4, and James against. The motion carries.
thank you for your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
For John Wheeler.
Morning, John.
Morning. I'm going to turn this over to Travis because it's his grant. So
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and council members. Thank you for allowing me to be here this morning. I'm requesting approval to seek a resolution to apply for a grant funding through Department of Health and Human Services to continue a program that we call the Dental Support Center here. CSKT has been the host of this program since 2001. And we're seeking an additional 5 years of funding for that through this application to DHHS. So I'm open to any questions that any of you may have, but again, I'm just seeking approval for the resolution to apply for this funding.
Got a motion by Tom to go ahead with the resolution to apply for the money, second by Carol. Any questions? All in favor? James?
Yes.
We're unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, council. Have a great day.
Who's next?
Samantha and Joe Dirtlow.
Come on up, Sam. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of council. Jason and I are back today. We've presented to Health Committee a couple of times about our desire to restructure the tribal health org chart to create a rehabilitation division. And with that, we would be seeking addition or a change in a position on the org chart to become the rehab division director. And so with the document that Jennifer just handed out, that top line shows that our plan would be to move one of the physical therapy boxes up to that division director position. We would maintain the PT program manager as well as one full-time PT there in a clinical role, and then still have our PT assistant and 2 PT aides. And then with that restructure, it would be bringing PT, optometry, audiology, speech, and the fitness under the division. And then we would also eventually when the division is ready to evaluate needs for an occupational therapist, that would go under there. And then you can see that other orange box that says project coordinator. That is pending approval of a transfer of a grant from SKC to Tribal Health. But we would want to add that in now. Both of those, that project coordinator position is also a change. There was an available box in the behavioral health division that we could relocate to rehab division. So for our two changes, for the rehab division, they would both be changes to the org chart. They're not new boxes, but rather repurposing a couple of boxes. The rehab division, it would be maintaining up to 50% of their time as a clinical provider. And so that position would be supported by billable services still, as well as current grant funding. And then that project coordinator would be fully grant funded, pending approval of that grant transfer. So, not really sure how the org chart stuff works because, like Jennifer mentioned, Joe is upstairs. So I don't know if do you guys vote for change or the whole thing?
Jennifer?
Yeah, I have a question, just looking at the handout that we got, the youth leadership coordinator. It doesn't seem to match the description. Youth leadership coordinator to manage the GSA vehicle fleet.
So on that number 7 line, it looks like what they're suggesting is, or what they're requesting is moving that youth leadership coordinator position from the human resources division, changing it to a box in the facilities division to become a GSA fleet manager. So it wouldn't be having the youth leadership coordinator position manage the GSAs. I think that box is not currently being used by anybody. There's nobody in that role, that youth leadership one. And so it sounds like human resources does not need that position.
Okay, I understand. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
sorry, these are all new to me too. So yeah, if anybody has any questions as far as the rehab division ones, I'm more than happy to answer that. Otherwise, I can try to muddle my way through these other ones if there's questions on those.
Great, Carol.
Yeah, I think you have an awesome physical therapist program. Every time I went, I've been taken care of, and
Good.
it basically solves the issue if you follow through yourself.
Mhm.
So I really think but I hate to see you take a position like that out of the actual line of, feet on the ground.
Mhm.
And then the other thing is the fitness centers can be an obstacle at times for us, and
Yeah.
the buildings. I don't know who controls those buildings, but yeah, we just heard yesterday or day before about a situation in one of our communities that needed to
Okay.
be addressed. And
Mhm.
even though it's been addressed with the department head, I think he becomes overwhelmed. So I think it's a good place for it. Where was the fitness center before?
Public health. So they were under the public health division, and then our programs were under the medical division. And so
Okay.
that's our goal with the rehab division, is to just kind of like put it all under one leadership that can really focus. We spend a lot of times in the fitness centers with our patients and with our group programs. And so in more of like a boots on the ground kind of way, we're there regularly and can help address those
Is
changes.
that you at the top?
We haven't addressed that
Oh,
yet.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, I want to say, what you do and how you work with people is really impressive. And I hope
you.
that people model themselves after you, because you really take a personal care for individuals like Tom, my husband, and
Mhm.
I think he just fell in love with you. But anyway,
Well,
yeah, I just, I'm in support of this. Also the optical,
Mhm.
I've showed up a couple of times at certain optical locations, and, times that they're not there. But I know they're not busy enough to have somebody full-time 24/7 in those
Mhm.
offices. So I understand, but I appreciate the backup that the optical has
Mhm.
with June and Polson, and I don't know about Ronan, but I mean, in Mission, but I appreciate that
Yeah.
they have somebody that's learned how to, you
Mhm.
know, get stuff for people. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Motion by Carol to approve the org changes to tribal health. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sam, for sure. You're not Joe. You're much better looking than Joe. I'd much rather have you up here than him. Three questions I guess I have is that, so I see changes here,
Mhm.
positions, boxes shift. So as far as just sheer number of FTEs,
Mhm.
are you increasing by one FTE or not?
No, from what I see in this list, they're all changes. Unless any of them are like a half FTE that might be bumped up to a full FTE. To my knowledge, they're all like there's no change in FTE. It's just relabeling boxes.
So then the follow-up question to that is the only added necessity to this box shift and creating a division would be adding an additional amount of money to a salary.
Right, and I think I don't have the PowerPoint ready to pull up, but when we previously talked about with Health Committee, I think what we anticipated was about a $50,000 difference between salary fringe and then also productivity changes because there would be that increased administrative load. But again, that rehab division director would be expected to maintain a 50% caseload. And so it's more just, it's a very modest change in the budget, I think, to.
So in thinking of the third question then is, anticipated these answers, is that means we have to come up with some more money.
Mhm.
And do these changes then allow us to bill in order to generate more third-party revenue?
Mhm. Yeah, so what would happen, being streamlined under that division director is that we would have better structure to implement, like to improve our productivity, our workflow, all of those in a very direct way versus kind of having to go in a roundabout way. And so we can more directly like implement policies and things like that and address workflow on a day-to-day versus like in a monthly standing meeting.
And we looked at productivity and found that it would be around like a 4% per person
Yeah.
increase, which we believe that having the structure change would allow.
Yeah. When we do the math across 4 billable providers, it would have to be a total of 11 increased visits a week to break even with the change in the budget. And I think, that's very reasonable, especially with being able to adjust workflow. And we'll make those changes, even if that's our plan with current staffing anyway.
Yeah, I actually lied. I have a fourth question and then a suggestion. My fourth question is, given the recent, what I call opportunity for our membership to benefit from Medicare B and providing that coverage for our elders, in your expansion here, would there be more billable services to Medicare B?
Yes, in a sense. We already started that conversation both with Tracy and Rhiannon, who is the new third-party billing manager, to look into what the billing structure is. So we bill for the services. We enter those codes when we provide those services, but on the billing side of things, there are things to look into. And I do want to say that with this rehab division, I can't speak too openly about it unless we go into executive, but with that grant that we're hoping to have transferred, that would be a significant salary support with that. But it is pending approval, so I was asked to not get into details.
And my last item is a suggestion. We've had this discussion before, and I think Jennifer's brought it up too, and I brought it up again with the possibility of retrofitting Anchor Way is water therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really have a facility to provide that right now.
Correct.
And at least when I look at it and the need for an aging population and accidents and recovery, boy, it's just such a great therapy that it would be great if we could provide that type of service in some way, shape at some facility. So
Yeah.
that's just a suggestion.
We do provide group aquatic PT up at Polson right now, 2 days a week. And then a number of years ago when I first came on, we presented about the costs and what it would take to like basically be able to build a aquatic therapy center, how many visits it would take to pay that off in years and things like that. We would be happy to dust off that presentation and revisit it. I think that because we grew so quickly in such a short amount of time, that we kind of prioritize this need of trying to get a structured leadership over our division so that we can better focus on expanding services.
Jennifer?
Thank you, Tom, for bringing that up. I mean, one thing I would love for Polson to have is a fitness center.
We would too.
And,
Okay.
and I live in Polson, so, but you know, it's just one of the best things you can do for depression and anxiety.
Mhm.
And you know, I did a triathlon, I've done half marathons, you know, at different points in my life. I'm a former yoga teacher. So at different times I've had really strong discipline with exercises and, you know, having, you know, doing those kinds of things. And it's the best, the mental health benefits are bigger than the physical benefits.
We've been told that.
Yes. And so I think, you know, just giving the community another place to go exercise, to work out, to sweat, to detoxify yourself.
Mhm.
And I just read something the other day that said one of the biggest factors of success that predicts who's going to be a successful like Navy SEAL.
Mhm.
So a lot of people drop out of that training. They can't do it. It's the ability to run 4 miles.
Interesting.
And as a former runner, and actually I thought that is true when you have the heart of a runner. If you're in a long distance 10-mile run, you don't always want to do it.
Yeah.
And you want to quit and it's hard.
Mhm.
And you have to go into this mental place of making yourself do something you don't want to do.
Yep.
And that was like the biggest factor that predicts whether or not they're going to pass that is how fast their ability to run a 4-minute or not a 4-minute, a 4-mile, do a 4-mile run
Mhm.
under a certain time. And
Very
so, I mean, there's just so many mental health benefits to exercise, and Polson has the second largest number of tribal members and we don't have a fitness center.
Yes.
So it'd be
That
great.
has been on my radar since day one, and we are quietly just keeping an eye out for facilities that we could either purchase or acquire in some capacity. So yeah, we would love to, you know, keep working on that.
Got a motion by Carol to approve the tribal health organizational changes, second by Tom. Any other discussion? All in favor? James?
Yes.
It's unanimous, and I look forward to the reporting on the streamlining to 4%.
Thank you all.
Morning, Joe.
Morning. Where are we?
We are to Anchor Way.
Anchor Way. Good. So I have included in the package a request to, I guess there's a couple ways we can pursue this. Enter into a non-competitive contract with the Jacola Engineering to perform the discovery process as I described in a prior meeting. After the conversation with you, I revisited with Jacola, changed that scope of work to be specific to focus on a tribal health operation there. So the scope has changed to pursue that single purpose. So it reduced the pricing. So that's the request. But I guess the other option, I don't know how it works, is I'm trying to do it, but I don't know if the other process available is for us to work with SKMM to try to accomplish this, but Anyway, so this will give us information we need to begin the process to remodel, repurpose that building for healthcare purposes.
Questions? Go ahead, Carol.
You know, Tom, you had some really good ideas the other day. Does this meet that? What you brought up? Tom?
Go ahead, Tom. Mr. Chair. Yeah, thank you, Carol. The main intent in the comments that we had on Monday was that we need to fulfill what the obligation was of the money that we purchased it. That needs to be paramount. How the facility ends up shaping, it's got to have some healthcare coverage in it, my understanding. But as far as however Joe can finagle the landscape to be inclusive of other programs or issues, whether it's homelessness or, employee temporary residence or whatever it might be, it may be just a big fitness center with other stuff. I mean, it's how you collaborate. But the way I read the original proposal was it was an opt-out opportunity for tribal health not to have anything to do with the building, and that can't be. We can't do that. So that's a limiting factor that's got to be in any design consideration. So I think as long as they look at it in that shape, that there could be still apartments or rooms or segments of the facility could be used for housing. Particularly our need for whatever it might be, whether it's homelessness or temporary employment housing or whatever it might be, or that stepwise program for recovery, where you're doing that all right there. You got someone that needs to be in a facility and you're providing that on site. Those are all win-wins. That was all my concern.
Okay, so does this meet that?
Yeah, it will be with the lens of tribal health. So we will enter into that. If we enter into this, there'll be opportunities for stakeholder engagement, some discussion. Tom had some great ideas earlier in a discussion about other options that we might consider as part of that planning. So anyway, yes, it will be a tribal health lens that we approach that space. There will be opportunities as part of their discovery process for stakeholder input to conceptualize what that space might look like.
I think it'd be really hard for us to come up with that kind of money to kind of change things. So I think we need to definitely go down this road. I'll make a motion that we proceed with the Jacola, is it Jacola contract?
Yeah.
Engineering contract.
Yep.
To mold it towards tribal health's needs and wishes and plans.
We got a motion by Carol to proceed with the Jacola Discovery contract. Second by Tom. All in favor?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Wait, who motioned and who second?
Carol motion, Tom second. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. I was thinking about that last night. It's been nearly a year since that purchase was made. So I'm excited to maybe get a clear plan in place about how we start that process. Thank you. That worked out well. I think if I can come in late at every opportunity now, that might be my strategy.
Well, as Tom said earlier, our presenters are better looking.
Yeah. No disagreement there.
Have a good day, Joe. Does that bring us to Sadie? Morning, Sadie.
So I just have the regulations that were already approved with the date changes. We held the 30-day public
comment period, and we received 0 comments back on that, so just here for one final approval, again.
You can use that mouse and change your pages. Oh, just in case they have questions for you.
Any questions for Sadie on the regulations? You remember the few changes that were made? There weren't many. Dates. Motion by Tom, second by Jennifer. All in favor of approving the tribal regs?
Yes.
We're unanimous. Thank you, Sadie.
If you're a resident of, there's different prices. So if you're a resident, it's a little bit cheaper than if you're a non-resident according to your license. And it also depends if you're just buying a license for the south end of the lake or if you're buying it for the whole reservation to fish. It's I want to say it's $16 or $18 for the south end of the lake, and it's 22 for everywhere else on the reservation, but there's also different prices. So we have a senior citizens price, non-resident price, and then so I guess the short answer is that it's the price varies depending on age and location of your address.
I have a question. Are there, one thing I would hope that we talk about in the future is giving a discount to first generation descendants for permits, because it's $80, right? For it's $80. I just had to buy one recently, so it was like, I can't remember, but it was like a minimal amount to buy a year permit as opposed to a 3-day permit for a non-member, which is fine. That's what we should do. But I just think that a lot of family members have descendants, like if they have a picnic or something, everybody has to buy those like really expensive permits. And and sometimes we've had family gatherings and like picnics or birthday parties or something like that. And we've had relatives come over from like a different tribe and they're like, we don't get a discount. Nope. Got to pay whatever, the fee is to come to the picnic. So I don't know. I just think that would be something that I would like to see us discuss. And, we've kind of talked about that, not very concretely about benefits for first generation descendants, but I would think that it's something we could discuss to give them a discount, that if you're a first generation CSKT descendant, that you would get some kind of a discount permit, so they don't have to pay $80.
I definitely can make note of that, and I also agree with that our prices could change because it's $100 for a resident of Montana. So if they live in Missoula, they still have to pay that $100 because it's based off their address instead of the 40 with the reservation address. I myself also have to pay the out of state because I have a Washington driver's license because I'm a college student for some of my scholarships. So I understand that it's a lot for that, and my husband's enrolled CSKT. So yeah, I would like to hopefully in the near future look at some price changes and stuff like that, just so we can make that a little bit more accommodating for, like you said, first descendants.
Just to follow up, I can't remember what the price was, but I remember it was a very minimal amount from like a 3-day permit to a year. So if we just bought a year permit, was it like $80 for 3 days and $100 for a year?
Yeah.
We bought it's like, well, let's just do the year one. But I know that's cost prohibitive for some families. If they just want to do something simple like go swimming or have a picnic, then their maybe descendant children or grandchildren have to buy. If it can add up for something really just wanting to have a picnic. So
Yeah, I agree. So hopefully we can look into making changes to that, like I said, in the near future.
Any other questions for Sadie? Jennifer?
Thank you. And then we can up the price for out of state non-members. We could, that can go up. I don't care, but I just think for our local families, we can make it easier.
Carol?
Maybe something in the regulations or family gatherings like that, that they wouldn't even have to purchase a permit for a one-day picnic. If there's a lead tribal member there that wants to take responsibility for that, I would look at something like that. But then maybe in different circumstances, they would still have to buy a permit. Maybe consider something like that.
Thank you, Sadie.
Thank you,
Have a
guys.
good day.
You too.
Morning, staff.
Did you guys want to take a quick break? Mike,
Yeah,
just
let's
help me
take-
get them set up for their presentation.
Let's take 5-minute break. I think we're ready, Stephanie. Please, welcome.
So we are here this morning with Lee Jester, and I'll let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit about his project. Just to let you know the history, I think last fall we started the process. Lee reached out and for his project, and we have. I know I came here, told you guys about it, that we're in the works of it. We have visited SQCC and have gotten permission or gotten the thumbs up from them. And they just requested being involved in the process, which Lee is planning to do anyway. And then being the first, to see, one of the first people to see it prior to release. So with that, I will let Lee, or I don't know if Les wants to say a little more about it yet. Okay, he'll pipe in, but I'll let Lee talk about his project and the short film that he is requesting to do.
Thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate that. So my name is Lee Jester. I live in West Glacier, and about a year ago now, I was inspired to do this film, and it came from a deep connection I have with bull trout. I'm here in Montana because of a bull trout, and that's another story for another day. But I'm very involved with Trout Unlimited, and we have a strong program promoting bull trout in Montana and the Flathead. So this is part of that program. I guess it's about all I need to say. I'm a retired gallery owner. I am not doing this for financial gain. I work pro bono, and I expect the tribe will keep the copyrights and all distribution rights. So that's pretty much where I'm at. And I just want to show the film. I just want to redo the book. I mean, the book is incredible. We'll start with a classroom scene. We'll bring the children out to meet the elder. The elder will tell the origin story. It will be fully illustrated with these incredible paintings that I just adore. I consider these world-class watercolors. They're deserving of a museum presentation. Part of my hope is that we'll get them all framed and archived and displayed somewhere on the reservation. And when the origin story is done, we will segue to biologist, or perhaps Craig, but in any case, a tribal biologist who will explain the science of bull trout and their situation and what can be done about it. And hopefully the children will be present at that time. Then we will move into the what can be done about it. And that would involve filming the gill netting on Flathead and perhaps Swan Lakes, and talk about the importance of the bull trout in our environment and what we can do about it. There are many biologists all across the Northwest that are working on bull trout restoration. We'll be communicating with all of them. We're working already with an Idaho biologist, and we're talking to some Canadians as well. So we hope that this will be a accurate and meaningful contribution to the bull trout preservation efforts. It's very important to me that it be consistent with all of the traditional tribal stories about the bull trout, the legends, the stories, the spirit. It's all it's all very important to me. I want this to be. I want when people see this movie, I hope they fall in love with bull trout. I don't care if they learn about their biology. I just want them to know that this is an incredible animal. It needs to be protected, and it will speak to our entire community if we can do this. So I ask for your permission to go ahead with this, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lee. Go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I was just wondering if you guys are planning on presenting to the Kootenai Elders Committee also.
I was unaware of them, but I'd be happy to.
And we, just because the book was produced in SQCC, but we can definitely, and I think I have told them about projects that I've been working on. So when I was there last, but yes, we would be able to do that. And one thing, Les and I are here for support. And because this has already been produced, it is an amazing book. I think a film with the book would only increase the education and get it out there again, just kind of give more life to it. Because, we do have the curriculum, we do have the Explore the River, all that is digitized and available for teachers online. We just want to, cover all learning, and I'm a visual learner, so I think this, would help the visual learners out there as well. So just kind of give new life to it and bull trout and their importance.
Thank you. I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it.
Any other statements? Talk? Looks awesome to me. Oh,
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Great project. I mean, to reboot this great educational tool, and you're right, it's a beautiful piece of artwork.
Yeah.
And and the all the interviews and all the interactive things that are there that people can do in this program, like putting logs in the river, and just it's ideally that it's all that hands-on visual, and it's interesting to, I think, all ages, and that's what's really amazing. But I would want to make sure that it stays in the same company of the fisheries program and the culture committee, that's the copyrights, the tribes, and all that, so that you're already covering that basis. That'd be my only concern, but I really like the idea of getting more noise out there. Let's protect more bull trout habitat. Let's protect these fish that are long-lived, that each one of them has a spirit just like us, and we need to take care of them. That we owe a lot to them. So I appreciate it.
anything else? Is there any objection to moving forward with this project?
So I have one more comment. As far as Lee was wanting to get permission to start advertising for funding, he was wanting to be able to get that permission from you guys so he can start and hopefully start filming next season.
Yes. Yeah. Our film schedule wouldn't be until next summer, but I expect to spend the winter fundraising. And I need about $50,000. And Trout Unlimited is putting up 10,000. So that's a good start.
Well,
is there any written documentation to this proposal and how it would be framed? And we mentioned the copyright and the.
Well, there's just my pitch deck, which is, right here. We could provide a document if you like. Whatever you request, we'd be happy to cooperate with. We're working with Wade Freudenberg, by the way.
Other thoughts?
Sure.
Go ahead, Martin.
Definitely direct them to the corporations for this assistance.
Yeah, a document would be helpful.
Okay, we'll make that.
Any objection to moving forward? I think consensus, take care of it, but if you want to make a motion, we can do that. I think we're good. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for your time, and I'm really excited. This is gonna be a wonderful project.
Looking forward to it.
Lem Specia. Okay, so I can.
Does that mean we're on break for a few minutes? Break. Next presenter's not here yet.
You know, as I sit here, I'm really honored to be back in here, and I sat for 12 years where Danielle. Oh no, it's where Lynn's at, and I can tell you, I never got to see this perspective, and in all those 12 years, and with that sunshine in the background, you guys look like saints, you know.
We still have halos.
So, okay, all right.
I think we're here. Carmen, welcome.
Well, thank you for taking time for us. And I'm going to start with, thank you for having time for us. And we're going to start with Mr. Lozar.
Yeah, thank you. This is a moment for introduction, and many of you know me as Bubs. That's how I was just introduced. But Steve Lozar and an enthusiast for athletics and an enthusiast for the kids on this reservation, native and non-native. And so Steve Lozar, Esquex.
And former hockey player.
And former hockey player.
Okay, I'm Linda Greenwood. Some of you know me. I'm not a skater, but I'm on the board and I've been involved with it since the very beginning because of our kids. I want to see something in the wintertime for our kids. And so what better way to take a hockey stick and clamor your friend. So anyway, that's why I'm involved.
You done? I'm Carmen Mowbray. My kids, Hillary and Mike Lozar, travel to Missoula all winter on icy roads late at night to enjoy ice sports. And years ago, I observed this and realized this is very frightening to me as their mother and mother-in-law to see this. And they would get home as late as midnight or 1 o'clock after playing on Missoula's ice at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and then go to work in the morning. And they did this 2 or 3 times a week, as did Steve Lozar on these mixed leagues. And I just decided, I think we can do something about this that would benefit the entire community. So that's been my driving passion all these years.
Hello, Jamie Burr, and I'm here. I'm on the board as well. And for me, pretty much anything that's kid related, I'm probably involved with. So that's why I'm involved with this. But I got involved with the ice rink because I was a late in lifer hockey guy. I'm a terrible hockey player, but I love it. And I am super jealous of other communities that their kids got to grow up with ice sports, whether it's hockey or ice skating, curling, whatever it is. I don't really care, but it's just, it's an amazing culture. It's a pretty neat thing. And I'm hoping more kids can get exposed to it. So that's why I'm here.
One of the things I'll mention right at the start is that we often will say hockey, but an ice rink is way more than that. And so mostly we like to talk about winter sports and a place to play them that's safe, that's here and near the community. And so we have, as just was mentioned, hockey is one of many things that we propose to use a rink for, and curling, free skating, figure skating. There are a number of things that just to get kids out in the outdoors in a safe way. Now, those of you who know me, I think that's everybody. Being a kid in Dixon, we had a swimming pool. Anybody ever swim in that place? Okay. All right, Mike, you might have. Or you're okay. Well, maybe your grandparents did, but we had a swimming pool, believe it or not, in Dixon, and Arnold Dupuy and a few other of the grown-ups used to flood it in the wintertime. And we would go down there right up above the river and kind of behind the BIA offices and skate and sled. And it was the most wonderful thing. And when we get together, which doesn't happen not many of us are left, but to get together and just talk about how much fun we had, the fire pit that was built, the warming shed that was out there by the swimming pool in the winter. And so we actually had an official swimming pool or ice rink in Dixon at the agency. And while this is not hearkening back 60 or 70 years ago, still the idea was to have a place for kids in the wintertime. And that's basically what we're looking for now. And Carmen can tell us a little bit about the interest that has generated from working on this project for the last number of years. So, Carmen, if you would, and feel free to ask any questions while we're talking.
I have another handout if I may approach your desk.
Can you see what we see on the screen right now? You can? Okay.
And how do I advance it?
Just scroll.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
Sorry. Here you go.
Okay, so you see who all is on our board. We're all community members, been here a long time. Some of them are brand new. Our Charlie Mizia is brand new, but he's bringing all kinds of fresh energy to our board. Oh. I thought maybe, here, I'll just, yeah, there we go. Okay, moving on. We feel there's a real need for winter recreation. I think everybody here understands that. And as Steve pointed out, especially our young people just have very little opportunity for healthy, affordable local recreation here. Going up to the ski hill is a $300 day, and a lot of kids are left out of that opportunity. And what are we doing? Well, there's a history of playing hockey and playing ice sports in the community, as Steve pointed out. Even Polson had a little ice rink outside for a while there. People have tried to skate on the lake, and our ice is just so unreliable that we realized that in order to provide reliable wintertime recreation, we needed to build an indoor arena.
I'm going to interject for just a second.
Please do.
It was attempted in Ronan a few years ago in the fairgrounds where they flooded one of the buildings. I don't know if anybody was around when that, Tom might have been, back then. But yeah, it was great when it was super cold, but you're 100% reliant on cold weather. So, but we attempted it and didn't work very well.
Our intention is to build this multi-purpose arena for people of all ages to enjoy ice sports in winter. And off-season, it'll be available for other activities. We've obviously trying to raise money, and one of the biggest gifts was Mr. Mike Matty, donated a full-size commercial lot up at Ridgewater, and that saved us an enormous amount of money. So that was why Ridgewater was selected as our location. Yeah, we had to buy an adjacent lot to accommodate parking. The city of Polson required 92 parking spaces, which we certainly hope to fill. Which meant we did have to raise a little more money to buy the adjacent lot. So you can see there the total lot that we now is deeded to us. We've raised over 4 million so far for construction, and obviously we'd really like to put a lot of local people to work building this. And I think we've all shared what motivates us. The Mission Valley Ice Arena people have staged street hockey almost every summer. And these kids come, and this is actually something I heard someone say behind me as they were watching these kids play street hockey. Just think how much fun these kids will have on real ice. We have letters of support from all of these people, and we've never been turned down. We could probably get another 24 letters from local community leaders. So I'll let you take a moment and read who all has voiced and written their support for our project so far. And we're open for questions.
Just a quick comment. I remember years and years ago, I stopped in at the Missoula rink and I just happened to see Steve up there playing a game. And it's like, now that's why this guy shows up for work missing teeth. Now that explains a lot. But I was always fascinated when I seen you out there on the ice, and I know you were getting roughed up pretty good out there, but you stuck right with it. And it's like, hey, that's one of our council people out there. And I always remember that. I just wanted to mention that. But
well, we could imagine the Bison having a team, maybe a hockey team too. There's a lot of potential out there.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Steve and folks, I'm sorry I can't be there. I've got a family member that's just got out of hospital that I'm kind of watching over today. Um, I definitely support this. I think of our Kootenai brothers and sisters on the other side of the border. They have uh, an amazing hockey teams that come out of those areas and young people that are such amazing hockey players from our Kootenai bands up north. And it would be really awesome to see some of our young people, all stripes and backgrounds to be able to have an opportunity to get into hockey. I didn't get that opportunity growing up. We didn't have hockey and those kind of things, or it just wasn't there was ice skating, but it was, the local frozen creek or pond or whatever you could find that happened to have enough ice to skate on it. But I also like to say I appreciated serving with Steve on council as well. And but absolutely support the even submitting a letter of support for the effort.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I support everything youth oriented, so I'm going to be on board just because it's something for our youth. Just for council's edification, we did build an ice rink once, and I was just like what James mentioned, because of that. I'm familiar with hockey. Growing up, some of my early life on the High Line, and I played in Havre. And when we moved back here, 67 was no ice, and so we'd flood our front yard and try to play, and then we'd go down, and nobody knew how to play hockey around here, and we'd go down to my cousin Barry he lived with the Harrimans down there, and they had trout ponds, and those would ice over, the trout ponds would, and it'd be the McDonald boys against the Harriman boys, and that's what we played. But yeah, there's been different attempts to, from having a Zamboni to use it on the ice, either Ronan or in Polson in the past. The rink that we tried to build was right by Lawrence's house. We had an opportunity to build a rink there. We tried to, but right there by the boat launch, by the park. But there was too much, it was too soft there. There was too much recharge, and actually our Caterpillar in building it got stuck. And so we had to stop the construction. But I really wanted to have a nice rink there right on the shore, because it freezes pretty good right there by Lawrence's house. I thought this would be a good spot, especially for the kids in Elmo, and get some hockey going on. But we had to stop our plans and didn't finish the rink, but we tried. Anyway, I certainly think it's really, the only thing that concerns me, it kind of reminds me, the location and the Mission Valley Aquatics didn't turn out the way I thought it would turn out, as far as being inclusive to the rest of the residents of the valley or the reservation. And so my only concern always when we build a unique feature like this, where it's an indoor swimming pool or ice hockey rink, is how are the kids in Ronan going to be able to get there? How are the kids from St. Ignatius going to be able to get there? And granted, it's much better to go there than drive all the way to Missoula. But it has to be something that we raise money for that reduces the O&M costs, so those children don't have to face that cost or tuition or entrance or annual fees, that we can provide a facility that would be free. And not only that, we can think about how we provide transportation to get the kids there. That's a critical need, I think, for us. But knowing the way the youth are of the reservation, I think they jump right on this. Roughing up other kids with a stick, fishing them up against the wall. My brother doesn't have any teeth at all, Steve, but he didn't blame it on hockey either. He blamed it on tribal health dentists. Kind of like what you did. But yeah, I support it 100%. I think it's a great sport. And you can do so much other stuff. We don't have roller skating rinks. We don't have, when I was a kid, there was roller skating rinks. Even you didn't have ice hockey rinks, you had roller skating rinks you could go to. And same form, same kind of exercise, but you can do a lot with that facility. And for me, it's playing year round. It's like, you know, if I really want to work at it, I'm going to find some ice. I'm going to build my ice. I'm going to do it. But in the wintertime, but it's that summer, it's the shoulder seasons. If you want to have a program to be competitive and have the opportunity for athletics or keeping people interested in sports, healthy environment, it's that 12 months a year that's critical. And that's what I like about an indoor rink. And that's what I really like about this proposal. It's an indoor facility.
I really appreciate the couple of those comments that you made, or most of them, all of them. But I'm painfully aware of the South Valley. We kind of, I'm from Ronan, and we talk about North Valley and South Valley, and that sometimes the South tends to get a little bit more neglected. The pool was an example of some restrictions that were there for some of the kids from Ronan and Mission to have that access to. So that's something that we've talked a lot about, to make sure that there aren't restrictions. We got to figure out ways to make sure that there's access, that it's not a Polson rink, it's a Mission Valley rink, and similar to Mission Valley Aquatics, that our reach is much further than a couple miles around Polson. So I did want to mention one of the things that really motivated me was last couple of years, I've one of my friends, Karen Smith, that teaches in Arley. She's an ice enthusiast, so she takes most of the elementary school from Arley to Missoula, and so me and a few other people volunteer and kind of help wrangle the kids. And after the first time doing that, just seeing the pure joy on those kids' faces, it made me jealous again. I'm like, man alive, I wish my kid had that ability or had that opportunity. Wish I had that opportunity growing up as well. So that's a big motivation for me, as well as making sure that South Valley, not just Polson, it's a Mission Valley thing, that there's access. We started talking to Mark a little bit over at the Ronan School with the buses. We've taught, I haven't yet, but I'll reach out to Corky a little bit to talk about, possibilities within, this area to what transportation opportunities there are there as well. But we need access and we need availability for kids in the South Valley. So.
If I may add to that, when I was visiting with Polson School Superintendent Andy Forrs, he said, we've got a bus route that goes right past where you're going to build that rink. Why don't we talk about interfacing with a Ronan bus route? So it's in the early stages, but we're very aware of that need and we would love to solve that.
Good, Carol.
Yeah, Linda, when we talked, I thought there was endowment money that you were raising to be able to handle. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
There, okay. Those first couple of years, yes, we have an endowment of $1 million, and that's, and then we're trying to raise, we have 2 million more for construction that we need to raise. Plus, we'd like to have another $1 million for an endowment to add on to that endowment. Yes, because we realize it's going to be the first couple of years, we're probably not going to be making a lot of money, but hopefully after that we will. We'll be.
And you also talked about, you had a document that you gave me to sign so I could do a payroll deduction.
Oh, pledge.
A pledge.
Well, we weren't going to go there, but.
Well, yeah, I wasn't really, I did give you one of those, yes. So that's the way we're, we've got pledge sheets and, of course, the money right now would be really helpful, but we need to, once we've got the pledges in place and we've got them got our $2 million, then the shovel will go into the ground and we'll be on our way. But we don't want to do anything until we make sure that we've got what we need. But we're on our way, and we haven't even solicited that money that we raised. People just came forward. That's how much it's anticipated for this arena.
Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, I was Gonna see if council would consider a donation to the ice rink. What's it called? Mission Valley
Ice Arena.
Ice Arena. You know, we wouldn't have to do it this year, but we can definitely maybe consider next year and the next 3 or 4 years like we did for the Boys and Girls Club, I believe.
Yeah.
There was like, or even for the University of Montana, I think we gave 10,000 5 years or something. I don't know if that's something that, well, of course, the council's gonna have to talk about it. I shouldn't have thrown a figure out there, but you know, at least some kind of contribution.
And if I may say something, we did not come here today to ask for money, but you needed to know what our needs are, and Linda explained that, but thank you for hearing us, and we would appreciate any future consideration and are standing by to answer any questions you may have. We have some speculative profit and loss statements and everything for you if you're interested in that granular level of information from us.
Go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, yeah, I would certainly support a financial donation for the project. You know, I have a stepson that plays for the Miles City Generals, so we go to hockey all the time, and I've seen how hockey has gotten very popular in Montana. And I've always wondered why Polson doesn't have a league. And but like I said, this is for the kids, right? It's for the kids, and it's good to see that we're able to work together with the community and trying to get a facility like this going, because it's extremely important that we create something that keeps the kids off the streets, and they have somewhere to go after school. They have something to do during the weekend, and I just think that's extremely important in today's world that we try to keep our kids busy. So.
Yes, and off their phones. But the Boys and Girls Club is what I've had. I was a big proponent and involved very much in the Boys and Girls Club, and I want to see our Boys and Girls Club kids involved in this ice arena. Yeah.
If I may make another comment, Councillor Two-Teeth made a good point about kids. When we were doing our research, we called every ice rink in Montana and asked if they would provide financial information to us to help us plan. They were very, very helpful and very, very cooperative. I called Glasgow, Montana at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning and assumed I'd have to leave a message. But a very nice lady picked up the phone and I told her who I was and what I was going to ask her for. And she said, honey, I'd love to help you, but I've got 50 kids on the ice right now. I've got to get off the phone.
Hey, Jennifer.
Yeah, I support this too because it's also part of drug prevention, among other things. The more things that kids have to do in a community, the less likely they are to use drugs. And sports is one of the biggest preventive factors for youth. Having some place to go after school, having something to do, having something to look forward to, having camaraderie, something to be a part of. And my daughter played ice hockey in high school, and she went to a high school that required all of their students to do sports year round. And so she joined the hockey team one year and she didn't know how to ice skate. So she had to learn like in a week or less to ice skate. And then she got thrown out there to, be on a team. And she only did it 1 year, but she said it was really fun and she got to, travel around with her team and, and so now she's my only kid who knows how to ice skate. But that's an opportunity that she wouldn't have had here. She went to high school in New Hampshire. But yeah, so I just think, if we can give kids here that kind of opportunity, we don't know where it could lead. So I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just thinking, my understanding that Wayne Gretzky has a place over in Lake Coeur d'Alene, or he lives right above there, and maybe given his proximity to us, maybe he's not the greatest of all time, but he'll always be the greatest of all time in my book. He'd be great to bring over for some kind of a fundraiser thing, or if he would be interested, You know, my understanding is we had a close call. You had a boat that was coming from Lake Havasu and got caught at our check station in Ravalli that had live mussels on it. And it was going to Whitefish Lake. And of course, he wasn't with the boat. It was somebody transporting his boat, whatever kind of boat it was. But that would have been a good thing for hockey here to have that happen. But certainly he's for a lot of folks, at least older folks, Wayne Gretzky is still somebody of great importance in the hockey. He was an amazing player, amazing for his size.
And that's something that we've really wanted to do is identify professional hockey players that could help us. And so if any of you know of any, you just mentioned Wayne Gretzky.
I met him once in a bar in Edmonton, but I won't tell you that story.
Your secret is safe with us.
Yeah, we're open to names of people if you have them, that could help.
Mr. Chairman, thanks for bringing that up. As we're scouring the woods and the ice for financial help, this area around here is absolutely full of retired NHL players, almost all from Canada, but I've been at a number of those whether they're events, is what they are. And the NHL community, Gretzky included, has been very, very supportive. And I might mention that so have the retired Hockey Association from the National Hockey League. They support native hockey really a lot, and we have several natives from the U.S. and from Canada that are tribal members in their different areas. And I know we often talk about or like to watch NBA basketball, but the fact of the matter is, I don't believe there's any enrolled tribal members across the country here that are not basketball players, and so consequently, we have lots and lots of Native people that play at all the different levels, and they're always supportive. I've been to a number of their camps, their tournaments, and by golly, it's pretty fun to look out there and see us when you go to when you play. And there are a lot of all Indian tournaments that happen all through the winter. And when you play in those tournaments, everybody gets together. It's very competitive, but it is also really uplifting to see guys from reserves across Canada and now here in the United States that play at a professional level, and they're us. And it's pretty wonderful to see that. I don't know how many NBA natives we have, but we got a lot of them in the bigger leagues that are hockey players. But I just want to just throw out one more time that our rink that we're proposing is for each and every one of us. And if a granddaughter's out there skating, more power to her. If she's as tough as one of my granddaughters, she's on the all-star team in Missoula, and I had a proud moment here a couple of years ago. She's still playing, and I had a proud moment where I was at the game, and all of a sudden the referee's hand went up like that, and he blew his whistle and showed my cute little, very feminine granddaughter to to the penalty box. And she, it was really cute. This great big tall kid came up and pushed her into the boards, and she got up and skated around in a circle and came up and of course we don't want this to be, part of what we're advocating, but she skated up to this great big kid and decked him. And it was a proud moment when the referee was shaking his finger at it, but yeah, that's true. But I guess my point is, and we know you guys are limited in your time, but my point is, it's for all kids, and a place where a lot of times when we go to a basketball game and we see that most of the players are 6-footers, and on the ice, everybody's a 6-footer. It's very democratic and very open for all people. So just wanted to mention that. We wanted to, unless the board has something else they wanted to add, we wanted to give you a super lemlemsh for hearing us, but for all you do, and I know what you do, but for all that you do, and the fact that this is a place where you can make a difference. It's the best job that you guys have in the whole world, and usually the only real requirement. And I can look at each one of you, and we've had conversations away from this place, but it's a place where everybody counts, and you guys have the opportunity to make lifelong influences with our membership. And I driving here today, I just was thinking of some of the people that worked for Tribal Summer Rec, and I was one of those kids, and and Carol knows all of them, and it involves our family, but it was life changing for me, and one of your parents was very instrumental in that, and helped pointed me personally in a good direction. And I'm forever thankful for that. But you guys have the opportunity, you generally have the means to do what it is. And look again at your job description. An old tribal guy told me this one time, and he was spot on. Look at your job description. And basically, when you cut down through all those layers, it's to help people. Help our tribal members. That's a real job description setting up here. And so Lemlem Specia, and thank you. We'll keep you fully updated on things that happen with us and where we need help and support. And so thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Just thank you for that, Steve. And you're one of the kindest and one of the smartest people I know. You're so kind. And I'm so lucky that I've been able to have conversations with you throughout the years about various things. And, but one thing I hope that we as a tribe find a way to do is help youth buy sports equipment. Because one thing I know about ice hockey is the equipment, if you want to play on a team, it's very expensive. And as you grow, you have to keep up and then traveling, my kids used to do Taekwondo, and the pads are really expensive. And you have to, you're always traveling to Great Falls or Livingston and those Billings in these faraway places to watch your kids compete in events. Or even if you're just a runner, good running shoes are over $100. And so for some families, that's cost prohibitive. And, as a former distance runner, I wore out my shoes and I kept running and then got injuries that I had to quit running for a year one time because and then I learned my lesson. Like, buy good shoes and replace them when they wear out. And for some people to put their kids in sports, it's cost prohibitive to buy basketball shoes and good running shoes and stuff like that. So I think we really need to figure out how we can support tribal families and buy their equipment, buy their shoes, make sure they have good quality shoes. And, you know, the first year my son ran cross country, I bought him cross country shoes and he's like, "Oh my God, Mom, are you sure you want to spend this much money?" And I said, "Yes, because I don't want you to get injured. You need good shoes if you're going to run cross country. You have to have good shoes for that." And, so whatever it is, if it's soccer, buying cleats, that stuff like that gets really expensive. And we need to figure out a way on our end to support kids who do stuff like that. Because, you know, especially as kids are growing, they're not going to wear the equipment that long and then they outgrow it and they need new equipment and it just becomes very expensive. So I don't know how we would do that yet, but we do need to figure that out to help families.
Jennifer, if I can comment, Lemlipsh, and those are really important words. So far, I've in all the associations that I've been part of, where there's a will, there's a way. And when I first started working for the tribes 40 some years ago, we had a recreation department that every year it was part of the budget, and it wasn't big, but I think we could find a way to help any of those kids in any activities like that. And I don't know why it popped into my head, but but the when we were kids and down in Mission, those of us kids that were altar boys, and I know some of your families were involved in that. And then when I went off to Indian school in Wyoming at Wind River, they were native kids from all kinds of different reservations. And one of the things that always stuck with me was the fact that we didn't have any uniforms for the choir. And so we just found all the old altar boy uniforms, and some of them were supposed to be white, and they were so old and dingy that they were kind of a brown yellow, and some were long, some were short. But by God, we did it, and so I'd just like to throw out to you an offer from me is that's what we got to do. I'd be glad to hear your confessions. And so if that's a bargaining chip, count me in. Mr.
Chair.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, sorry, I'll be real quick. I was curious if anyone in the group, Steve, or, isn't Jake Sanderson still with isn't he, last I remember, he was defenseman with the Ottawa Senators out of Whitefish, if I remember right.
Yes, he is.
Don't know if we got any connections to him. That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be, and actually, I'd be glad to make that connection. Yeah. Thank you, James. Mr. Chairman, I think that wraps up what we had to do.
I appreciate it. I don't know how I get kids skating on hot water at Hot Springs, but we'll figure it out. Thank you for your presentation, and definitely have the support of council.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Just to remind everybody that we'll meet tomorrow at 10. Up at Technologies. I'm hoping we're done way before 3. Don't know though, depend on what Jordan has to offer us. Oh. Thank you. Wanted to make it 10 to start so that people could get their morning figured out.
Mr. Chair.
Shahoy.